Welcome back to Voorburg, to VCC Cricket Ground, close to The Hague for the final of the Dutch T20 competition between VRA from Amsterdam and Sparta from Rotterdam. Good Dutch tradition to have big finals between the two big cities, Amsterdam and Rotterdam. Being joined very gladly by the national coach of the Dutch cricket team, Ryan Campbell. After the first ball is being bowled, you will hear him. Good afternoon, Ryan. How are you?
Hello, mate. I'm very well. It's a good afternoon. Obviously, the bit of overcast conditions now, but look, we've had some sunshine. We've got through the day. We've had some horrible rain during the week, which has really put us, I guess, the whole thing in doubt. But VCC have done a pretty good job to get 2 wickets up. We're playing on a new wicket for this finals, which should be exciting. And obviously, Peter Boren and Vikram Singh will be looking to dominate for VRA.
As VRA played a very solid semi-final, beating HBS, bowling them out for 38 after first having scored 133. Opening here now with, as Ryan said, Singh and Campbell. It has been, apart from the first innings of the day, VRA low-scoring affairs. Were you surprised by that?
Oh, not really. Look, the wickets obviously have taken a lot of rain, and again, they've done a really good job just to get up and running. But the facts are that the teams haven't adapted to the situation. And you know, when you come into a T20, it's very easy to say, "Oh, we got to score big, we got to go hard." But you know, if the conditions don't suit, you have to change your game. And I think that's what VRA did very well in that first game. And I've no doubt that's why Peter Boren is opening the batting in this second match, because he knows that Iqbal's going to open the bowling and maybe try and bowl 3 overs in that power play. And we all know that Peter Boren is a fantastic player of spin. So, look, VRA, no doubt, they'll be looking 120, 130. They know they'll be competitive.
With the misfield, getting the second one for Vikram Singh, and even getting the full credits with the boundary. Costly missed field. Sparta just finished their semi-final, which was, as we said, low scoring, but surprisingly exciting. To me, surprisingly exciting.
Well, the funny thing is, you know, everyone talks about T20 cricket, oh, high scores are the greatest thing, but in all honesty, I think high-scoring matches sometimes become a bit boring because it takes out the bowlers. It literally takes out all the pressure of bowlers bowling well and, you know, putting pressure on the batsmen. And, you know, sometimes it is nice to see a good, tight-scoring, low-scoring match, which, you know, you need to have your skill set on, which I think from both of all the semis I've seen, the thought processes have probably been a little bit short of the mark, which is unfortunate. But again, here we are. It's finals day. VRA win the toss. They want to bat first. Finals, in my opinion, you got to bat first. Put the runs on the board and then defend your little heart away. Well, it's that's the Australian in me, to be honest.
Okay, well, that's what I mean, probably.
You know, we like to put the score on the board and go about our business and defend. And you know what? That's the way that our Dutch national team go about it. I make no sort of excuses for that. I feel our best play is when, you know, we get in, we bat well, we bat not with the same pressure of a scoreboard, and we set our score, and then we defend, and we defend our hearts out.
Bukhari bowling from this end. Already feeling the hamstrings. It looks like feeling the hamstrings, Bukhari. It is tough, when you have half an hour in between a semi-final and a final.
Well, to be fair, at least Sparta they batted last in that previous semi-final, and then they get the field first. So at least they're not going back-to-back fielding. But it is a tough, you know, finals day is always tough. 2 games of cricket on the same day. It's something that everyone is foreign to, but that adds to the excitement, I think. It's all about the preparation. And, you know, VRA, obviously they'd drawn the first game, but at first, their first thoughts would have been, well, the weather's about, it's 10 o'clock in the morning here in the Netherlands, we're getting the toughest of the conditions. But in saying that, then they get 3 or 4 hours off just to sit back, relax, and see the opposition go about it.
which on the other hand probably needs a bit of attention to come back into the match mode as well, which for Sparta was not even a choice. Bukhari into Vikram Singh. Does it surprise you, these two in the finals?
Not really. Look, originally when I looked at the finals list, I felt that VRA was definitely one of the teams that would go through, and mainly because they're a turf club as well, so they play a lot more cricket on their turf wicket. And when I looked at the other side of the draw, obviously I thought VCC were probably the favourites going into that. But again, VCC didn't bat well, and you know, when you look at it was a low-scoring game, and it's one of those old adages that we're very much as a part of our core group of our Dutch team is, imagine if we had 10 more. 10 more runs. It doesn't seem a lot, but in a close game, 10 more is everything. And you know, the facts are that VCC didn't bat well. They didn't bat with the right, I think, intent. Funny thing was, the guy who batted with the best way to go about it was Viv Kingma, who hit good, solid shots to the deep men, which therefore he got his one, whereas the other guys, they kind of were poking around trying to think of ones inside the circle, and that just bred a little bit of, I don't know, just didn't get it quite right. And as we can see, Vikram Singh's going about his work quite well.
A nice shot from Singh. Didn't get to the boundary, but it gets them into 10 runs now. Peter Boren and Vikram Singh. And VRA had a very tough opponent in quarterfinals as well, huh?
Well, that's the thing, and I'll be honest, if I was purely from a national team perspective, I really felt that the best two teams in the T20 competition were VRA and Punjab. You know, but they drew each other in the quarterfinal, and that often happens. Obviously, Harvey S were hamstrung by Tobias Visay's injury, but that's the beauty of it. And you know, this is something that a lot of people probably won't like here, and it's a stumping. He's missed that by a long way.
It looked very wide. Boran went after it and is being stumped. Ben Cooper, next one for VRA. For sure, Pete Boran will be disappointed with this. It didn't look like a real good ball.
No, to be fair, I think he'd be really disappointed, because that's not his game, really, going over mid-off or over the offside. He's generally a really imaginative player against spin, with sweep shots, reverse sweep shots, all that sort of stuff. So he'd be disappointed, but again, probably the national team's best player in T20 over the last year or so is Ben Cooper, and you know, he was disappointing in the semi-final, but I'm sure that he'll be trying to bounce back here and get himself in and give them a platform to really attack those last 5 overs.
Got out second ball this morning and finds his first run of the day here. Ben Cooper, who had a great season, I think, this year. For many of your boys it was a great season, although it wasn't the season you expected, but I think you really made the most out of it.
Well, yeah, from a national point of view, we did have to dig deep. I'll be honest, there was times where we questioned everything that was going on. Obviously, it should have been a massive year for Dutch cricket with the Super League, and I heard you talk earlier in the first game about, you know, all the fixtures. Oh no!
That's Ben Cooper out. Exact.
Our under-18s group is a really important group for the Dutch national team, and the under-18s will be, as we're back onto pitches now, which is fantastic. Our under-18s have to go to a World Cup next year. They have to qualify for a World Cup, so we're spending a lot of time with that younger group, and guys like Vikram Singh and Das Gupta and Shiraz Razul, all these sort of guys will feature in that. And we also saw Luke Hartsing, who bowled really well. He's another one. Of course, your son that we've looked at, a big fast bowler that we're going to get a bit more speed out of him over the off season. So look, we're excited. The Aryan Dutt, which we saw in that previous final as well, is another one. So we're excited about a younger group of players.
Well, as you mentioned him, my son, but it's not about him, but I have experienced from very close what this season did for them, and for them it was huge. I mean, going out with the teams you put together with the under-23s, and it has to be contributing for the next years this year, which probably didn't feel like it when it all started, but
yeah, like I say, it's been a really disappointing year for us on a national level. But when we had to take a breath, myself as the national head coach and James Hilditz, the assistant coach, and the under-18s coaches, and we took a breath and said, okay, what can we make out of this? And the facts are, I don't get to see the under-18 squad very often because I'm so busy with the national team. And for me, it was a great eye-opener, and I got to learn more about the youngsters and how we can help them, and remembering that our under-18s group is the future of Dutch cricket. We're in the Super League now, and we're in the World Cups and all this sort of stuff, but I need a production line. Even Alexander the Great came unstuck when his pipeline finished. So for me, it's everything is about our youngsters. And look, that's a great catch.
Terrific catch behind. The end of Debrup Dasgupta on the bowling of Bukhari.
Now
again, the hamstring.
Well,
Bukhari, yeah, it looks like it. It's going to be.
I'd hate to be the bearer of bad news for VRA, but the stats clearly state that if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, you lose 86% of the games. I hate to say it, but I'm just telling you that I've got that many stats drummed into me from our legend James Hilditch that that is one that stands out to me, that if you do lose 3 wickets in the power play, and that's in world cricket, not just club cricket or international.
Yeah.
We're talking Big Bash. We're talking about English cricket, whatever. If you lose 3 wickets in that power play, you are seriously under the pump. And these 2 young batsmen have to stand up, and now they may have to throw the anchors out for a little while. They just need to rotate the strike and hang in there. And so what's a good score? 120, 125 is, that's all we got. So how do we go about that? That's the questions that they have to make. And I guess this is where we hope their decision making is a little bit more advanced because of all the matches we played this year and the conversations we had with these young players after those games.
Yes, I think Shiraz Razul showed this morning already in his innings when VRA also, well, not in this sort of trouble, but Bukhari really limping after he bowled his ball, and that's probably going to affect them in the batting as well. This is something you need to take in account as a batsman, I think, as well. When you look at your bowler and know what he has to do also in the batting side. So just try to wear him out a bit probably. And here goes past the wicketkeeper's hands for a leg by 4, which helps VRA. Everything helps in this moment on 20 for 3.
That's the thing. I think in T20 cricket, when you look at a game, and even at club level, I've no doubt that VRA have looked at Sparta and gone, okay, what are their strengths in their bowling department? And Bukhari, obviously, as a ex-national player, is a key to their bowling. And then you go, okay, so let's get through this guy, or it could be Iqbal or whatever it is, and maybe we can target a couple of the lesser-known bowlers. That's how you go about T20. It's all about the matchups and who do we like, who don't we like, how can we get a boundary here or there. And again, this isn't a place, and we've seen all day, that you have to park your ego, put the old ego in the pocket and say, okay, now we're going to have to grind. If they give us an opportunity, don't get me wrong, if there's a half tracker or a full toss or a nice half volley, yeah, of course you go for it. But sometimes you just have to park that old ego and that the little man sitting on your shoulder that's saying, go for it, and you just got to put him in the background and hang in there for a little while.
Be white, and it is. Well, that's the thing, and you started with that, I think. Even a low-scoring affair could be very tense and very nice to watch. I mean, it's not only all about big sixes and 180-plus scores or whatever.
Well, T20 is all about the craft. The guys with the best knowledge and the way they think about the game and use their skill set the best are the ones that do well. And, you know, I think last night we watched Australia throw away a game where, you know, like sitting on the sidelines, you think, oh, well, how did they lose that? But the facts are 162 is it's actually the average score of all T20 games, and it's what we all try and score is 100. There's a bit of aggression there. 160. You still got to go at a good rate, even new guys in, and you know, if you're still thinking of 8, 9 and over, if you have one bad over, suddenly it slips up to 10 very quickly. And you know, Australia lost their way there, but again, it's a good example to all people that T20 never finishes. You never finishes.
Well, I noticed you on social media that you were enjoying your night off or your night at home alone and watching it, but I had a couple of moments I thought, well, this is done. I'm going to switch a channel and see something else. But somewhere it kept attractive and
it does, because you know what? If you make 160, you're in the game. You're in the game all the time, and that's the thing. And those conditions change for different wickets, different whatever. So you just got to get yourself in the game and get in the fight. And you know what? That's the main thing I think about T20 is it's exciting when both teams battle down and hunker down and know they're in a real fight, and you know, work out what their best skill set is, and if it's a spin bowling or if it's, you know, fast bowling or if it's slogging. I hate the word slogging in T20. That's one thing for sure, but you know, you just
there is no slogging in T20.
I tell you what
you mean.
I'm telling you now, and this is the one message that I give to all our under-18s and all our national players: if you slog in T20, you lose, because it's not going to work. If you play good cricket shots, then and take risks in your best interest, the odds are in your favour, your best shot or whatever, then you'll succeed. If you want to slog, I'm telling you now, you're gonna lose.
For Vikram Singh, some good bowling from Sparta. Third one for Iqbal has gone, probably saving his fourth. Or is this probably a moment that the captain will say, okay, take the fourth one as well? We have them under pressure.
Well, I think what we saw in that semi-final, they like to bowl him in the power play and make sure that, you know, they get through those 6 overs unscathed. So there's no reason why he wouldn't bowl the next. I think Bukhari, as you can see, is going to bowl this over, mainly because I think his hamstring might fall off the bone in a minute. So when you're warm, you want to keep going and get as many overs as you can. So look, then it's going to be the lesser likes of the Sparta attack that are going to have to stand up. Max Hornweg, who's an academy member, a national academy member, needs to stand up. And on the other side of the coin, the VRA boys have to go, okay, what are those dangerous bowlers? Where are we going to get runs later on? And, you know, like I say, sometimes you have to park your ego. In my opinion, the best players of T20, they're just good batsmen. The best batters in T20 are just good batsmen. The Virat Kohlis of the world, you never see him slog. He just plays a good cover drive or one over the top or whatever. You know, Sean Marsh is another one that I love watching in T20 because he plays good cricket shots and he makes a lot at pace.
It's a good lesson to learn for everybody listening. It's still cricket shots needed in T20. And don't start playing any form of baseball or free hitting. That's 2 for Vikram Singh, still on Bukhari's bowling.
So I'll tell you now, the key to VRA's success here is if Vikram Singh bats to the 17th over. That's what he should be setting his sail at and saying, okay, if I'm here at the 17th over, I reckon we're about 90 or 100 by that stage. I don't need to take risk. I'm just going to hang in there. I'm just going to work and work and work. And then those last 3 overs, I can then unleash and do whatever I want to try and do. But someone needs to stand up and bat to the depth. You need a top 5 batter batting in those last 3 or 4 overs, especially on a difficult wicket. So, like I say, Vikram Singh, who is, let's be honest here, one of the future stars of Dutch cricket.
You called him in a newspaper interview the biggest batting talent or whatever, and the word biggest doesn't even count, but he's a huge talent, huh? Well, still only 17, I think, 18?
Yeah, still only 17, and again, that's big call on a young kid, but that's just what I see in the kid who's literally a very calm and calculated sort of guy, and he's played top class, I think, since he was about 8. It seems like he's played forever, but look, he's a good kid who works hard at his game and really enjoys the game. Oh, that could be close. Oh, yeah.
It's not out. And there is many questions being asked by all of Sparta's players who were behind the line. But it stays on 3 wickets down for VRA. Survived. Shiraz Razul already had 2 and went run out, I think, in his innings this morning, but had another one also. A big call, 6 overs gone.
It's a rare sight. Someone bowling 4 overs in a row in a T20 match, and he's done a great job.
Julian de May did it as well.
He did it as well. Because generally now that you're thinking you don't want batters to line you up. So, you know, you see in the 6 overs of power play, generally you'll see bowlers just bowling 1 over and then it's changing and changing and changing and just trying to find that right combination.
That's a good shot.
Runs.
That's going to be 4 to Vikram Singh.
See, that's the thing. In T20 games, you're still going to get bowled some balls that you can hit for 4 or 6. And that's without even looking for it. You know, bowlers make mistakes. That's
in the second semi-final, actually 1-6 changed all the momentum. The one which ended on one of the bins next to the field.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that, yeah, that calmness of being able to stay in, hang in there, hang tough if things aren't going your way, but you will be presented an opportunity to score. And I think in T20, a lot of times people forget the pressure of scoring. It's only 8 and over. T20, we see that. Yeah. Actually, that's quite hard when you're going into when you've just in new batsman, you haven't scored, you're still facing your first ball, you still have the pressure of, I don't want to get a duck. Let's be honest, no one wants to get a duck. So there's pressures that I think that we should never forget, because I think way too often, and I think commentators are guilty of it the most, ex-players,
I know what you mean.
They forget there's the pressure of the situation, and that's something that you should never forget, because especially in a final, if you're batting second, you're chasing something, there's pressure. There's pressure that comes on. There's no coincidence that noticeably in finals the scores are lower. Well, what has brought that about? Wow. It's the pressure of the situation, and it's the people that stay the calmest and work their way and think their way through the process and again, I'm probably talking like a coach now, but I love T20 in the fact that the best thinkers are the most successful players because they can think their way through a situation and they're problem solvers. You have to solve the problem on the run. Can't have a captain run out or a coach run out there and say, "Oh, whoa, do this." You have to be there in the present. These two 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds have to work their way through it, and that to me is exciting.
It's funny you bring it up because we have been discussing with others as well. You or Dutch players don't play too many of these sort of games. I mean, knockout games and like. No, okay, well you can. But I also told Ben, who was here, if you play a World Cup and on the highest level, I think although it's a group match, nearly every game you play is a knockout game. Because well, in your situation, it can depend on one victory in 3 games.
Without being political, I come from Australia, everyone knows that. And every year there's finals. Finals creates an extra pressure, whereas I don't like the fact that, for instance, the Topklasse, it's whoever finishes on top wins. Because, like you say, you're never playing under pressure. You're just playing a game that, okay, there is pressure. Obviously, Punjab versus HCC, for instance, the second last game, that's a pressure game. But I like to see the finals. I like to see the cut and thrust of putting players under pressure of either relegation or winning the final. The thing that I've heard a number of times is a quick second run there. Like, oh yeah, but we finish on top. What happens if we lose to the 4th team? Okay, well, so you didn't handle the pressure so well, so you don't win the competition. I've always been very outspoken about, I want finals. I want a playoff system where players are put under the most extreme pressure because as a national team, they are put under the most extreme pressure all the time.
Every game.
And don't forget, for instance, when we go to the World Cup qualifiers, it's not just making a spot for the World Cup. If we have a bad tournament, we lose our funding.
Yeah.
So our players need to play under extreme pressure, and to me, finals is an easy way to do it. Again, that's not my job here. I'll leave that up to.
Well, at least the advice might be.
Well, I'll always tell someone. I'll tell as many people as I can.
And to add on that, from a commentator point of view or from a journalistic point of view, it creates more as well. I can hardly explain to my colleagues, come to a cricket match halfway of July in a normal season, 7 matches played, what's it all about? Well, it's number 4 against number 5, and so there need to be more moments at least to experience it.
And that 4 and 5, they're safe from relegation. They're not probably going to win the title. So what are we playing for here? And again, that's a very European thing because you look at English Premier League, for instance, the football side of things. It's whoever finishes on top.
But
it's a big season.
Then you have 6 teams competing. For
yeah,
it, so
it's a big season. But
we're not in that situation.
No, I'm going to say until I'm. Well, that could be
This one, and it is close enough, the end of Shiraz Razul being able LBW to Mudassar Bukhari, which was probably his last ball. No, it wasn't.
To me, that's a disappointing dismissal for Shiraz because, like, at the end of the day, that's probably almost a half volley that he's just tried to work on the onside instead of playing straight and seeing out, like I say, their best bowler, and he misses a straight one, gets hit on the back pad, and thank you and good night. Again, puts their team under pressure. They were just starting to get back on track, and again, because of what people don't think of, oh well, they've just lost a wicket, but that puts pressure on Vikram Singh again, the incoming batsman, who was just starting to get into his work and starting to get some flow going about it. Now he has to put his brakes on again because you can't lose 2 wickets in a row, and Leon Tamain needs to come in and do a good job for his team.
44 for 4. Bukhari finishing his spell from this end. With 1 ball left. New bowlers from both ends. And a sort of new start for VRA again, with Vikram Singh on 25 and Leon Termaine still has to score his first run. But at least we agreed on it that we need more these sort of games anyhow.
Of course, I love...
help cricket in many ways, not
Yeah.
only on the tactical and technical side.
Well, I love finals day, that's for sure. It's one of the days of the year that I mark in my calendar since I've been in Holland because, like I say, it's pressure.
Yeah.
All day you
And
have
that's
to...
what you want to see, how people perform.
Absolutely, because you know what, when it's easy, guys can be amazing, but under the heat of battle, you know, when there's a lot on the line, that's when you find out about the character of players. And, you know, the good ones come through and the not so good ones fall away.
Max Hoornweg, the bowler from the other side.
De nieuwe bowler voor Sparta van de 13 is Max Hoornweg.
Long, long way to go. Hoornweg being stopped by one of his teammates in his run-up. Two runs for Termaine.
What Leon will bring to the table here is a very good runner between wickets. He'll try and hit the boundary riders and put them under extreme pressure with his running. And that's something that Vikram, as a youngster, is probably one of the areas that he needs to work on. He can be a little bit slow between the wickets at times, so Leon will bring a different pressure to Vikram as well.
But that, even this small, or probably not small part, but even that could be exploited when you play more these sort of matches. I mean, if you're in a 50-over match for 4 weeks in a row, and well, you start being probably getting a bit, well, not even lazy, but easy between the wickets. Now, really, every run counts.
Yeah, it's one of the things that one of our, I guess, our foundation stones here in Dutch cricket with the national team is that we have to do the basics really well. Yeah, you have to be great at all the things that are in your control, and running between wickets, hitting a good shot to deep mid off, and you set off as if you're going to run two anyway, not just ease your way in because you want to be lazy. You want to put people under pressure. That's probably a little nick there that didn't quite carry. Max Hoornweg is an interesting character. He's in our academy set up. He went to the Gary Kirsten Foundation in South Africa in the off-season, where he's worked hard on his game. His fielding is still something that I talk to him about a lot. But he's a good character. He's a good young lad who's done pretty well for Sparta.
Termaine stays on the other end, so a single on Hoornweg, end of his over, 48 for 4. We're going to have on this side, it's going to be Snoop.
This is where the lesser known bowlers of Sparta are going to have to stand up now, because I guess their two trump cards have bowled their 4 overs each, and that's obviously a tactic that they've decided to go with. So it'll be interesting to see how these youngsters can stand up to the pressure of a partnership. That's what's required. It's okay if you keep taking wickets, but what are they going to do if suddenly there's a partnership that gets formed?
That's the main concern for VRA now at the moment. First get a partnership going instead of trying probably look for some quick runs or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to, people probably already getting sick of me saying it, but you have to think your way through the situation here. You know, 120 is going to be extremely competitive, so let's work out what they need to be. You know, at 50 over, at the 10 over mark, they're probably only going to be 50 odd, but you know, the next 5 overs, if you can make 30, that's only a run a ball. Suddenly you're up to 80. And if you haven't lost a wicket, then you've got 6 in the shed. You're thinking, okay, this last 5, maybe we can just up the ante a little bit more, and suddenly 80 becomes 120, 130 without too much trouble.
I think all of the betting teams today didn't get past very much above 50 in the first 10 overs anyhow. VRA was also probably after 9, but one.
But again, I love the intent from Leon Tamain. If you have a look here, he's running hard that first ball. If the fielder makes one tiny mistake, he can come back for 2. But if he's loping that first one, you know, the fielder can misfield, it doesn't matter. You're not coming back for second.
Singh finds another one, and VRA has found the rhythm again, like they found this morning in the second half of their innings, and which got them 133, highest score of the day by far. Oi. Is it going to be caught? No, it's safe. Lenz safe and coming back for the second.
Onderweg de innings van VRA is totaal 54 voor 4. Is 28 inmiddels.
10 overs gone. 55 for 4. 28 to Singh. 7 to Termain. Second over of Max Hoornweg. Into Singh. Good running again, as Ryan Campbell explained us, and here they find the second one just because of the pressure on the field. Quick run by Termain, the first one. Fielder finding the need for a big throw. It missed a wicket, and a cheap second run. And as we have seen all day, they all count, these runs here. Well played by Singh. It's going to be 4. Very good eye and timing for his shot. .56. And slowly, VRA batsmen are getting in the heads of Sparta fielders and Sparta bowlers. And and Termain is back enough, is quick back, and again there is a reward. Another overthrow brings a single and brings Termain to the wicket. It's Sparta's first ever T20 final. VRA won it 3 times in a row. But it was some time ago, the last one in 2012. Is Van Wijk, is he able to be playing? If you won it or not, I don't know. But could he play for the Netherlands because of his surname?
No, he's South African. So he, I know he lives here at the moment, and theoretically, if you live in the country for 3.5 years, that you qualify. But to be honest, it's not my job to start.
No, definitely not. No, I was just wondering because of the surname only, actually.
Look, he's obviously done very well for them in club cricket, and we want club cricket to be as strong as possible, so it's good to see guys like that, and he's living here now. But yeah, my priority is definitely around Dutchmen and Dutch passport holders.
Well, there is a lot about in international cricket also, but it's not a matter of going up to your computer and going wherever, finding some Dutch names and see if the holder passport can play for you anymore. Probably it has been in the past.
I always say there are political. I know in the past that probably have looked for players to, if you want to play for the national team, you either have to be playing here in the top class, or you have to be playing in a first class system in England or Australia or something, and obviously have the Dutch heritage and stuff. But I think what you see from our Dutch team now are 15 proud Dutchmen who, I don't care what anyone says, those guys, the Ryan Tenderskates and the Colin Ackermans and those guys who played for us, Timmy van der Gooten and Freddie Klassen, they're proud Dutchmen. They talk about the Dutch team all the time. They're the ones that want to come and play for us at all occasions because they're proud to be Dutch. They're proud of their parents. They're proud of themselves. And they believe that the Dutch national team is also a key to their success as professional sportsmen.
Well, it doesn't even surprise me, but it strikes me a bit that it is always being brought up, this discussion, if there is a good result against a strong nation. If you are, never easily beaten, but if you are beaten, nobody brings it up.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Look, and I've been asked those questions a million times, but the facts are, is Owen Morgan, he's Irish.
Yeah, well,
and he at the last year's World Cup, they're very proud, England, of their heritage of all their players. It brings something new to their team, and you know what? I think it's one of those things that enough's enough. I'm not going to answer any more of those questions, especially when.
Sorry for bringing it up.
No, it's actually a point that needs to be spoken about because we're not, for instance, like a team like Oman, who has no Oman Dutch passport holders. They literally bring in whoever they want to bring in. They live the right amount of time, and they're the rules. They're the national rules. That's the Olympic rules. They're the rules. Some teams will adopt that and just do whatever they want to do. We are not that team. We have to be Dutch. And let me tell you, I get 100 emails a week and 100 Twitter messages a week saying, "Oh, I want to play." Mate, we don't recruit players. You got to be Dutch. If you want to play for a Dutch national team, you have to be Dutch. It's simple as that. We're going to get about 1 million Twitter questions now saying, "Oh, but what about him?
Yeah,
what about
yeah. Consider me." Well, not to defend Oman or even ourselves, Holland, from the past, but it was a bit of the system in ICC as well. To get the funding, you need to perform, and to be quick on that stage and not to lose every terrain on all the others. It probably is the only solution for some countries, like ours and other small countries. So probably there should be a change in that as well, in the way they fund it. 72 for 4. 13th over. 2 to Vikram Singh. In a good partnership now with Leon Termaine.
What I love is for all our viewers who are watching all right around the world, I've no doubt they're watching this young boy bat and going, he's not 17, surely. Yeah. He's playing a mature innings, and that's what Vikram Singh. Oh, and as I say that, it's on his way.
Commentator's curse. Surprised, but still a good innings from him, which ends on 39. 74 for 5.
Just tried to work it across the line a little bit on a wicket that just held up a tad. Got the leading edge and out to cover, but he put his team in a solid position. Look, they obviously would like to have a couple more wickets up their sleeve, but 74 after 12 overs, as what we've seen. 120, they're in the game. Don't worry about that. Over 100, they're probably in the game. Sparta someone needs to bat well for them to win the match. So, and that's what VRA will be thinking about. I've no doubt. It's just, look, let's just work our way. Q Gunning is an experienced campaigner as well, and he's another that will run really, really hard. If he hits balls to the outfield, he'll be pressuring the fielders, trying to look for those twos. And him and Leon, if they can put on about 30 here, then we've got a real game on our hands.
And nearly everything is possible, as we have been practicing all day. If you have followed us today, tight game, tension in the second one. VRA really had to work in the first one to bring a total on the board, and then made easy work of the HPS betting lineup, to be honest, but this was one to stay away from, I think.
I think I saw Q in Italy this week playing in the ECL for some Italian team.
Oh, really?
In the T10 comp, which is coming to town apparently. It's going to be held at Sparta, I think, in mid-September, so that'll be interesting to watch.
T10. We'll come to... Okay. Get low a bit. Another one. A free one for VRA. We had 2 overthrows already. And now this one. And we have said it a couple of times now, but really every run counts.
Absolutely, it's critical here that generally, and again without throwing dispersions about T20 leagues around the world, but best fielding teams generally are very, very successful.
No two. Good throw. Quick pick up. Keeps them. Beautiful shot. Real good shot. Brings up 80.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's look, there's 7 overs to go. You have okay, what do I need to do here? What do we need to do?
We're back. I'm just talking to Suvir. It's back now. We lost the picture. We can't help it from here. I tried to solve it as quickly as possible. It's all a bit of an experiment using the frog box for this live coverage of the T20 finals day. And of course we do hope you enjoy it. And it's a way of trying to get some attention for the Dutch cricket on this finals day, but in general as well. Small sport in Holland, trying to find its way in between the big ones. Soccer,
We're higher
hockey.
than the football team, aren't we? National ranking?
In ranking, probably, yeah. I don't know what the 1-0 victory last night against Poland, that's for their ranking, but...
Are they above 12? Because we're 12 at the moment.
Are we 12 even?
We're 12.
Okay. Oh,
I'm very quick to point that out to my Dutch friends.
And you should. And we all should as cricketers in Holland. And nobody has to agree, but at least bringing up the discussion helps us.
Well, to be honest, it's interesting. It's a good shot from Q Gunning. Again, a nice sweep shot for 4. You know, when you're talking about government funding and things, which is a very much a, you know, you have to be an Olympic sport and it's a big no-no to talk about. But if you think about football and the money that they receive and how successful they are, of course, and, you know, they've been very successful. But when your cricket team's probably the highest ranking sport in the Netherlands, except for hockey, of course, who do very, very well, who also have a lot of Australian coaches, by the way.
One, at least one, I know.
You know, it's a talking point, and you know, we have to, I guess, scrap for every little piece of territory that we can, and you know,
But there are a bit more. I mean, the handball women's team is doing very well.
very well. Well, it's
Few
because
more
we're the
volleyball
tallest
teams.
country
Yeah,
in the world.
Of course, yeah. Well, I remember a volleyball coach coming to Holland many years ago and telling us, you're skating 200 kilometers for fun and you're about 2 meters high. I'm going to make you Olympic champions in volleyball.
Good reason.
And he succeeded, actually. But no, I know what you mean, and you're absolutely right. Well, that brings up probably another question. Should cricket be Olympic?
Look, I think that's one of those topics of conversation that it definitely should have been an Olympic sport for a long time, but I think that what's happened there is, the World Cup in our sport is probably the pinnacle, and people are saying, how do we defend the World Cups and stuff like that if we go to the Olympics? But, when you see golf and tennis and these sports at the Olympics, and, cricket is, the second most participated sport in the world, and not being there. And again, I was working in Hong Kong before I came to the Netherlands, and I understand what happens if you make it an Olympic sport, what happens for teams like China, America, Brazil, Argentina. When you're an Olympic sport and get Olympic funding,
also on the women's side.
Yeah, the women's particularly, it goes through the roof. So, look, I know there's a lot of talk about the Olympics and whether it comes, and I just think that a few brave decisions need to be made, and that'll be interesting to see if it goes ahead, because I think with maybe T10 or T20, you have a format there that is built for an Olympic sport. And again, you need the Olympics to be in the right country, because obviously playing you need the right facility. You need a turf wicket, which is already there. So, again, we play a lot of our cricket on mats, but I'm not sure you want the best players in the world playing on mats for an Olympic gold medal. But it's a good shot. That'll be 4.
It is.
Get a touch here, John.
We can't reach it. It's Leonard van Wyk doing his job. Picking up another boundary for VRA. Brings them close to 100 already.
So suddenly that 120 we talked about is starting to think, well, you know what, we can be a bit greedy here now. We can maybe get 130 or even 140 if this partnership keeps going. And that's just a thought process of trying to take away the risk factor by just bringing down your expectations a little bit, keeping things up your sleeve, and then, you know what, if you can hit the go button at a certain time, you can add to that. But again, I think it's just what I've seen here is no nonsense, no good, sensible cricket, running hard to the outfielders, looking for the easy runs, and suddenly you're almost at 100.
97 to be precise, after another. Oh, there was one short. Then it's easier. So it's 96 then. Oh, and there goes one in the air, and it's going to be caught. It is. It brings an end to Leon Termaine's innings. Very useful 25. It could be of big importance, the contribution from Termaine, although that's not what he probably thinks and feels at the moment. After an easy looking dismissal, another mistimed one.
Leon Termijn vervangen door Saga voor de goal van Salim. Salim voor 25 runs.
Second wicket for Usman Salim. Adil Raja is the new batsman.
I think that might be Mitch Lees, the wicketkeeper and hard-hitting batsman. He'll be looking to, hit a couple of boundaries.
I think it's Raja. Is it what? Raja isn't.
I'm going to say you're going to have to trust me on this one, mate.
It is, huh? Yeah, we do trust. Of course we do trust.
I go to club cricket every weekend, mate. I'm there either umpiring or watching.
You're
I'm
doing
always there.
umpiring as well, which was very good to see. I don't think many national coaches will do that, umpiring in matches in the league in their respective countries.
Again, that dismissal of Leon's, it's just kind of, he batted so well and he just tried to work it down leg side, and you think, oh, well, he didn't do a lot wrong, but I guess on the wicket, which just holds up a bit if you don't play as straight as you can, you can get those outside, well, the leading edges, so to speak, and we've seen that on a number of occasions today. So, you just got to make sure you've got a clear mindset of hitting down the ground as much as you can, and hit those boundary riders at deep mid-off and mid-on, I guess, and then you can work whatever else out. And if you get a bit of width or something, maybe you can have a crack over the offside. But again, with 15 overs gone, 5 overs still to play, if you're looking at 7 and overs, 35 runs, suddenly you're 130 there, and that's not really taking too much of a risk. And again, I love taking a risk. Don't get me wrong, I'm Australian, I'm a betting guy, but again, I think T20 is about limiting your risk to make the odds in your favour, and I think especially on a tough wicket.
It's not out.
Well, one thing that I'm 100% sure of, that some of the lads here in the Netherlands don't quite understand the LBW rules, because they think if it hits the pad, it has to be out.
If it's low, it is. Yeah.
And Maxi's one of those guys that I have a lot of fun at training with when I'm umpiring at training, and he's hitting blokes on the pad and it's pitching 7 feet outside leg stump, but he still thinks it's out. To explain those rules is always a fun sort of banter. And harping back to the umps, they've done a great job this year. We've got a really impressive international panel nowadays, and guys like Rizwan, he's been a fantastic representative of the umpiring fraternity for us, and Adrian and a lot of the guys on the international panel now. We're spending a lot of time and effort to try and upskill those guys, because as we all know that, especially with COVID, if Pakistan, for instance, were here this year, we can use our local umpires to, international matches, which is a fantastic opportunity for them. Even being third umpires on the, the video replays, for instance, something that they've never done before. We're trying to upskill them on that sort of stuff, and it's great opportunities for everyone in Dutch cricket.
And everyone who has doubted the decision might be able to watch Rizwan Akram's social media tomorrow, because he is wearing a GoPro on his chest and he's filming all the overs and putting them online afterwards. I'm not allowed to do that, of course, during the match. So Max Hornweg can have his own review tomorrow. It won't help him, but anymore. 99 the score. 16th over.
Yeah, the old, I will say, my brief umpiring career this year, my number one.
2, 3?
I did. I'm doing 4. I did a T20 game as well.
Okay.
My number one rule is the first rule that was ever invented. The benefit of the doubt goes to the batsman. So if there's any doubt in it at all, and I know that that's a good shot, but I know in today's world, trouble.
Slow pick up, but they were safe.
I know in today's world, with the people watch Hawkeye and they watch the video replays and everything seems to be out, and now they think that when they umpire, that's definitely out. But the facts are, if there's any doubt at all, it has to go to the batsman. And I think that's forgotten a lot of the times in umpiring around the world nowadays. And I think if you're going to be safe, don't get me wrong, if someone's out, it's out. You have that gut feel, but batsmen should get the benefit of the doubt. I think it's one of those things that sometimes is forgotten.
Well, and that's one of the learnings, I think, from all the review systems which are being used and showed on television. Quite a few times the original decision is okay.
Yeah,
so
mate,
first,
some of the umps particularly, have an incredible record when their reviews are not turned over and stuff. So the umpires do a great job. And let's not forget, without umpires we don't have a game. Like, you can talk about it, international cricket as much as you want. We're going to, third umpire's going to call the no balls now, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Without umpires, we still don't play the game, and that's where I'm very big on. My time with the umpires, it wasn't about trying to help them make decisions, because I can't help them with that. I'm standing at square leg. But what I can do is help them how they handle the game, how they, their discussion and their talking and their rapport with the players and how they handle situations, because I think sometimes if umpires are guilty of anything, it's not being personable. It's not being able to have a conversation with a player of, you know what, mate, you are starting to run down the danger area. Of course, I've got that rule that I can say, oh, that's a warning, but you know what, just tell the guy.
Just tell him.
Have a conversation with him. You're getting a bit close to that front line. Umpires should be the best form of information for a cricketer as well. It's a good shot through the covers. Again, it's a handy contribution here by Q. But if I'm a bowler, I should be talking to the umpire. Oh, what do you reckon, mate? Umpires. Oh, well, you bowl from a bit wide, so it's hard for me to give a decision. That's information that I can dissect. I think too often we're a bit too standoffish with our umpires, and umpires can also be standoffish towards players, and that's where I think the great umpires, they have great rapport with players. You just know they're in control, but they're also going to have a conversation with you and discuss things, and that's really, really important in our game. We all know there's a rule book. We all know that. The worst umpires, in my opinion, are the ones who want to use every rule known to man when they play. It's more a bit like, you know what, ease up. Let's just have a good game. Here's the line. No, I love a bit of banter. I love a bit of gamesmanship, but there is a line. And you know what? As long as the umpire lets everyone know where that line is, hey, all good.
VRA now on the thick side of the 100, which looked at times in this innings a long way to go, but they are there now on 109, and the magic 130 looks to be very much in reach.
Whatever they score, let's not forget that plus 10 run factor that the captain Peter Boren brings to the table, because his captaincy, I have no doubt, will bring a plus 10 result for VRA. So, that's one of the factors that a good captain brings to the table. Buster Later's done a great job this year for VCC. We know Pete Boren does a great job. But VOC have Peter Saylor, who does a really good job. But the captain has a really important role to play in cricket. It's one of those things that, it's, as a coach, I'm definitely not a coach that'll get up and yell and scream. In fact, I prepare my team, and it's my team until they cross the rope. And then it's Peter Saylor's team, and he runs it how he wants to see it fit, and you have to trust them, and you have to let them go. And then afterwards we can have a conversation about a few points. Oh, why did we do this? Why did we do that? Because in hindsight it's easy, and it's very easy for a coach just to pick apart things. But to hear about, well, this is why we did this. This is why we wanted to bowl this guy from one end or whatever. That's important, and that's the one thing that we've tried to really find this year in this off season, where we need leaders in Dutch cricket, and we have Peter Saylor, who's brilliant. But then
How is he anyhow? Because he missed a fair bit of the season.
His back is he's had a really pretty bad back injury that he's in the process of getting ready, and he assures me that 1st of November, when our pre-season starts, that he'll be there running and doing all the work that he needs to do. But we need to surround him.
And close now, they're safe.
It's good running.
Good running again.
We need to surround him with more people, because we have lost a lot of experience out of our team in the last probably year or so. Where the Wes Baracies and Steph Myberg has done a really good job this year, but has probably taken a little bit of a backward step in our team. And Max O'Dowd and Scott Edwards couldn't come because being in New Zealand and Australia, they weren't allowed to leave the country. It has shown us that there's a bit of
Save this one.
There is a bit of a gap in that leadership, and that's why the the Bustalators of the world need to be encouraged about, you know, being captains of their club. Tony Stahl did a fantastic job at RCC this year. Probably didn't make as many runs as he would have liked, but his leadership was first class. So that's part of our process. And again, watching the under-18s go about it, seeing what they know and the captains, how they run their ship, so to speak. And again, it's quite evident there in the under-18s that a lot of players are quite dependent on the captain to do everything. And, you know, they rock up to bowl and, oh, well, what's your team? What's your field? It's like, oh, well, you set the field. It's like, and that's just a little lack of knowledge that we're trying to fix.
Hornweg looks to force himself a bit into this over.
I think we've got a really good run chase on our hands here, because in my book, VRA have got enough, and that's a big call early. But I think the opening batters for Sparta are going to have to do a good job here, because, like I say, that plus 10.
You're not in hearing distance of Van Wyk close to us.
Well, he'll probably come out and hit 100 himself. But, like I say, 120, 2 overs to go. They get to 130, 135. Add that plus 10 factor of what a Boren brings. I think that's quite a lot.
And then again, for the second time, even already, it's a real good team effort from VRA, with having Boren and Cooper not real contributed with the bat. Yeah,
look, I obviously think that they summed up the conditions the best in their semi-final, and no doubt the whole conversation would have been around that 120, 130 mark is what we needed. That's a mindset. So when you walk out to bat, if you're not thinking, oh, we've got to get 200, we've got to get 200, well, to get 200 is a lot. And the pressure of that generally leads to the downfall of a lot of your batsmen. So they've obviously reeled in their numbers a little bit, and they've done a pretty good job. So again, who knows? They might be 30 short if Van Wyk gets going. So it's going to be an interesting run chase.
120 on now. Over number 19. 6 wickets down. $25 for Quirijn Gunning and Mitch Lees staying next to him with 11. Another little partnership and a good shot from Gunning there. Not gonna make the boundary. It's being picked up. Only 2.
And again, it shows what happens when you have a partnership. You know, they've added 20 or 30 without even trying, really. And once that partnership's formed and that batsman has a few balls under his belt, you know, these last 2 overs, it's almost 12 free hits.
Going for the big one, but it's falling short, and that's the end for Gunning, who's using the situation with only 9 or 8 balls left, going for a big shot, which was not executed to perfection, but the right choice to make,
but
I think.
Really important 25, 26 that he's made there. It's 27, I think. I think those runs will be invaluable at the back end of this innings. Like I say, I think
Choose to bat. 9 balls left for the innings. 122. And 2 at it to Mitch Lees. A little snick into the slips for 1. Again 3 wickets for Salim, Usman Salim. Last ball of his spell. .126, and all credits to our national coach Ryan Campbell, who predicted the 130. Very much in reach now.
And again, even now, it's an interesting one. Like you're only 7 wickets down, but do you try and be greedy in this last over, or do you actually go, you know what? If we get bat on ball, let's make sure we get at least 7, 6 or 7, and that's without taking a risk, because, you know, 133, you're thinking, okay, that's not bad. But then if I'm thinking, I need to hit 3 4s and a 6, well, you generally end up getting out and you end up only adding 3 or 4 to the score. Yeah. So, like I say, every run counts, and it's that mindset of, you know, what should we do here? I've no doubt Mitch Lees will go pretty hard here if he gets on strike, but Adil Rajo's a wily old customer. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve.
Looking for the single, it seems. Didn't find it. Snoop in the last over.
Did very well in his spell for Sparta in the semi-final.
Solid shot. Brings on Lees. 4 balls to go. 127. Let's see if he finds a big one. It comes only for 1. No, they're coming back for 2, which is a wrong decision because it's run out. An injury or not? What's Raja? No. I thought he was going to sit down for a hamstring or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think he realised he was run out there.
He
but
hasn't seen the finger, but it was there.
Good piece of fielding there from Van Wyck on the boundary, getting a good throw in, solid, and the bowler doing the right thing by being at the stumps.
Number 10, Ashir Abid, 128. Another one taken again, and this time not a real good throw by Van Wyk. So safe for the second one, brings up 130.
hate to add to the mystery of the second innings, but it is getting dark.
It is. It's not being helped indeed by dark clouds as well, which are around now. A bit of sunlight would have helped us.
We got one ball to go.
131.
Abid, can he cover himself in glory with a big six of the last ball?
Yeah. .133 being the highest score of the day, set by VRA in the semi-final. And nobody after has come close. So it's going to be a job for Sparta anyhow. Abid is being bowled, trying to scoop this one. 132 is going to be the winning total in this T20 final for Sparta. Well done by VRA in difficult circumstances, batting, losing their stars again early. Here you see all the scores: 39 for Singh, Termaine and Gunning mentioned by Ryan Campbell, important. And a useful, very useful 16 by Mitch Lees. 131, we will be back with the innings of Sparta, and we are looking forward to some big roll cricket from Leonard van Wyk. And Ryan will be here as well, I hope.
I will be. I'm gonna put an extra jumper on.
Oh, it's supposed to be a summer sport. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Welcome back. Start of the Sparta innings. Which a ball which seemed to be a little present, but there is no white. 131. VRA still the only team who managed to get across the 100 mark today. As expected, Iqbal and Van Wijk opening the batting for Sparta. And this is the first runs in the Sparta innings. First run in the Sparta inning. Single for Iqbal.
Well, I'm intrigued really, John, about how Van Wyck's going to play this, because in that semi-final he played a horrible over of, one pace, trying to pretty much hit every ball for 4 or 6 and didn't sum up the conditions, and I wonder how he's going to play this. Because the thing is, 130.
Is it fair to say he's an all or nothing batsman?
Yeah, well, from what I saw in that first game, and again he's come into this finals day with an unbelievable Bradman-like runs under his belt in the T20, but different conditions, different day, you have to sum those things up, and I'm intrigued to see what happens here.
Ashir Abid into the pads. Light has become a bit better. The dark clouds have gone a bit.
That's because you've taken your sunglasses off.
Probably. Finally for the day.
But the thing is, a guy like Van Wyck, he can give himself 2 or 3 overs to get in, because he's going to catch up. He's going to hit 4s and 6s at some point. Yeah, so I would be saying, give yourself a chance, mate. If you're batting at the 10th over mark, we're going to pretty much be on target to win this game of cricket. So, but again, a lot of players, they have one gear and they can't get out of that one gear. So I'll be interested to see how he goes about his business.
It's across the boundary. The first one for Van Wijk. Would have been a great catch by Shiraz Razul. He made the attempt, but he couldn't reach it. A lot of variety also in the VRA bowling, in the attack of VRA. And I got an answer on Twitter on your question on where a football team is at the moment. I think it is a VRA member who answered it. 13.
Oh, unlucky. Unlucky for some. We better not play another game, so we can't go back or forth. So we'll just stick to 12 until they go past
We'll
us.
save anyhow.
You lost your coach, though. Is that right? Yeah, he's got now Real Madrid.
And Barcelona.
Barcelona. Oh, he's about to lose Messi too, isn't he?
No, he decided to stay.
Really?
He really does.
Wow. It's probably because no one can afford the $1 billion payout, probably.
People on the other side of the world might be thinking he's gone crazy, this Campbell, talking about football.
Well, let me tell you that since my days here in the Netherlands, I've been given not much option to understand football and hockey, and now my son and daughter play both of those sports. So I'm trying to get my head around it. Of course, I still wake up early and watch my Australian rules football every now and again, but I'm getting there with the football. I'm going to say now, so I will probably cop an absolute barrage on Twitter, that I'm not an Ajax fan. I'm not going to go with... Everyone goes for Ajax, so I'm not going for them. So I've kind of just kept a backward step in the Dutch Football League, but I follow it. I see. I obviously fine order the battlers who try and take everyone
thing
on.
To say in an Amsterdam-Rotterdam cricket final as well. Eh?
Well, we are down in Rotterdam area. I figured I better say fine order.
Yeah, okay. Good shot. Next to where we are, second boundary in the Sparta innings.
maybe 130 is not enough, but making this look easy.
But as a proof of your integration in the Dutch society, all those knowledge of the Feyenoord and Ajax things, well done.
Well, my first year here, I was taken to a Feyenoord game, and I watched, and
By Roland, I presume.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't. It was actually Renee from VOC. But I was made very aware very quickly that Ajax and Feyenoord were the big rivalries, and you better choose one of those. But I actually like Utrecht as well. We do a lot of our training over in Utrecht. But yeah, it's obviously oi, drop, catch. It's a passion here, obviously, and we're going to see the football season start very soon. Apparently, yeah, September.
In a week,
Behind closed doors, I assume, with
very limited number of spectators.
yeah, it is quite bizarre. Of all the COVID things we talk about, it is quite weird watching sport now. It's one of those things of not having crowds and stuff.
I'm very much looking forward to IPL, but I'm also wondering how it looks like without any people in the stands.
Yeah, that's a good shot off the back foot through the covers. Pick up a couple more, but yeah, look, I think Australian rules football is one of those few sports at the moment. They're playing in hubs. I know in Perth, where we have 0 cases currently of COVID, but we've had a pretty hard border closure and made sure we've protected, I guess, all the people of WA. Even watching a game up in Queensland last night, there was 16,000 people allowed in, which is half the capacity. But it was just nice to see people cheering and going on. So
I saw a bit of the Surrey game as well this week on the Oval. It was only 2,000 or something. But even that made a better experience.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things we've all taken for granted for so long now. Is how much enjoyment everyone gets out of live sport. Whatever sport you follow, it doesn't have to be cricket, or it could be football, hockey, it could be darts, for all I care. It's the passion that people and supporters bring with them to the game, and that's something that we've really missed, I reckon, in these tough times of watching. At least we're allowed to see sport on TV. Obviously, media rights count for a lot in today's world, and the clubs or the big countries have been able to get their product to market, so to speak, via their platforms, but nothing will ever beat the old supporter who comes, catches the train, gets off, has a beer at the pub and talks about the game beforehand, goes in and watches whatever it is, be passionate, goes for a beer afterwards and talks about it, and then all week really they'll what they should have done, what they could have, what are we going to do next, what ins and outs, so to speak.
Thinking of it, imagine a Boxing Day test without any people in Melbourne.
Well, I can tell you now that even they are considering where they're going to hold that. It probably won't be in Melbourne, which will be obviously first time for many, many years that a Boxing Day test hasn't been at the MCG. Melbourne's hard lockdown is still ongoing, and even things like, I'm a massive race fan. And, the Melbourne Cup, there's every chance that it won't be run at Flemington, which is unheard of, so to speak. But this is the world we live.
Let's hope for not too long anymore. Also from your job and your team perspective. Is there anything on the calendar anyhow?
Well, my calendar is quite a peculiar looking thing that... used to be full of stuff and now has a lot of red on it, which has been ruled out. So, look, at the moment, we're probably going to not plan anything until the end of the year. There'll be, obviously, big wicket.
Again, Van Rijt not being able to play a big role in Sparta's innings. Wicket of Termaine.
Well, that's great bowling from Leon Termaine. He's bowled. It's been quite noticeable in these games. He's bowled around the wicket, which is something he's worked on as a national squad member in the off season. Actually, that we tried to come up with different ways for him to bowl in T20, and coming round the wicket to right-handers was one of those things, and that's a big wicket. And you just get the sense that those first 2 overs from VRA, where the pace was on, was a little easier for the batsmen to get themselves in. And now that VRA have gone to their spin, this is going to get very hard very quickly, I reckon, because they, like you said before, they have a number of spin bowling options that I'm pretty sure that Peter Boren is going to go to now.
As we have seen in the semi-final of Sparta, when Van Wijk was dismissed early as well, it immediately puts pressure on the others. There were contributions, but they had a long way, struggling way to find that 86 runs needed in that semi-final. So from here, 131 looks a big task. Of course, Bukhari still to come, although he had some trouble with his hamstring.
So here's one of my pet hates in T20, John, is that batsman walked in with a cap on because he's facing Leon Tamain, but he knows there's a fast bowler on the other end, so now we've had to halt the game so he can get his helmet on after facing 2 balls. This is why the over rates are so poor in cricket now. It's like people are on and off the ground after every over. It's so frustrating.
We were discussing this before as well, and you think there should be more punishment on slow over rates?
Yeah, massively, especially in the Netherlands. 50 over cricket, there just doesn't seem to be any real attraction to bowl your overs on time. And I'm big on, you have to bowl your overs. It gives good intent. I saw a great rule in the England T20 cricket that if you don't bowl your overs by a certain time, whatever overs are left, you're only allowed 4 outside the circle instead of 5, which you think of it at the back end of an innings.
For the remaining overs or for the 1 over?
For the remaining overs. So
that could be a real punishment.
Could be 2, could be 3, whatever you are short. And, that's a punishment. It's not, how do you put a price on that with, you can only have 4 outside the circle, especially if guys are set. So I like that. And I also, in 50 over cricket, there has to be punishment. You have to get through your overs. I think it's one of those small things in cricket that we have to get a lot better at.
Quite a wild shot, but the reward will be 2. And I can't prove it at all, but I do feel also when you keep speed in your overs, it helps the fielding in general of the team as well, instead of slowing everything and attention and everything, every level going down.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you great intent. There's no excuses for fielders now not running to their position and making sure that they're ready to go. And again, that also is an umpire's thing where they have to make sure the pace of play is. That's good fielding from Leon Tamain. There has to be pace of play. It's one of those things that's so frustrating.
Quirijn Gunning, 2 ballen in zijn tweede over. 2 balls to go in his second over. Sorry, switching to Dutch all of a sudden. I don't know why.
It's been a long day, John.
Yeah,
long day.
Probably, yeah. But it's all about being fit and sharp in the end. But well, there is no side of an ideal world at the moment with unknown COVID things. But ideally for you, where would you pick up and start whatever season?
So probably around November we'll bring the boys back in. Actually, over the next couple of weeks they'll go through their review process with myself and James Hilditch, our assistant coach, and everyone will know where they stand and where we're headed going forward. And from there, probably pre-season will take over on the 1st of November, where they'll enjoy that fitness test first up, and it's a big hit. It's going to be 4. So we'll have a pretty solid pre-season program coming from November, where they'll be in the gym and fitness stuff. And then look, we'll try and look at maybe late January, perhaps going to the UAE to do some training, use the facilities there, if everything's okay. And then maybe towards the back end of Feb, look at a possible Namibia trip, which we were supposed to go on this year. Yeah. They're a great cricketing nation, and we get on so well with them. It's probably missing a leg. And, they're very competitive, which is what we're after as well. So hopefully that can go ahead, and that would probably be the first time we've played since the World Cup qualifiers, because I think we're over 300 days already since the last time the Dutch team played. So look, we'll prepare there, and then hopefully we're looking at trying to play maybe a Scotland or someone in May next year, leading into England, which of course is going to be a massive deal for us. That could be out.
It is. It should be, and it is. Catch caught by Ashirabit. Soft dismissal, and another one like we have seen a couple before, in this way.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You have to just get in and hang in there, and it's the teams who can adapt the best will be successful. And so far, the 2 dismissals for Sparta, unfortunately, haven't been too wise decisions. As the captain will make his way to the wicket now, and he needs a big innings, and they need a big innings from him. So, look, at the end of the day, our first Super League match might be against England, which is probably not perfect, because they're probably one of the best white ball teams in the world at the moment. But we'll step up to the challenge. We're really looking forward to it, and we're, fingers crossed it'll be England, Ireland, West Indies all in a short space of time, and then we have South Africa at the back end of next year, and then a World Cup, obviously. So there's lots to play for, and I've no doubt that all the boys are excited and will be ready to go come next year.
There were many coaches in sport, not only in cricket, but also in all sports. Is it difficult to keep them motivated? I mean, there need to be something on the finish line.
Absolutely. Myself and James, for instance, there were times where we lost our motivation, and we had to, take a breath and say, okay, what are we doing here? Because, everything that we've done since I've arrived in this country, there's been a purpose to it. Yeah. And, when you sit down with training schedules and, working out with our S&C coach, when do they have to be ready by? Everything is catered to make sure that you're in peak condition at the right time. And when you don't have that, it's very hard to just train for training's sake. And, everyone can say out there, oh, well, they must love training. Mate, as a coach, I'll be honest, yeah, I love training, but I love game day. Where I earn my cash is game day. And, that's one of the things that we have struggled with. And, again, we've got as much as we can out of this year for what we've done.
The new bowler, Luke Hartsing, who's having a great season. Very, very young player. Taking wickets in nearly every game he plays.
And again, this is one of the good news stories of the year. A 14-year-old who's been able to open the bowling and bowl a lot for VRA in the Topklasse, and unfortunately broke his thumb at one point this year.
Even and still contributing.
Yeah, still managed to take wickets, and look, he's a good story that we're going to work very hard with over the next few years, and we're not going to rush him, that's for sure.
But he's always, every game I've seen of him, he's always getting batsmen into shots and a lot of variation also.
Keeps the game pretty simple, old Luke at 14. Yeah, very simple game plan. Tries to attack the stumps as much. If I was to be critical of anything, it's he undercuts a little bit when he bowls, which just is a wrist position. He needs to make sure that, you know, we get that wrist position right for him. So theoretically, he will spin the ball a lot more in the next few years when we work on those sort of things. But like I say, at 14, what an experience playing finals day, T20. Skipper has full faith, throws you the ball in the power play. You know, you can't buy that sort of experience off the shelf.
Probably not for the senior guys of your squads, but for the younger ones, it has been a bonus year, I think.
Yeah, and
those sort of
and that's, I guess, the $1 million question is going to be, you know, international players. Do you have overseas professionals and all that sort of stuff? It's a debatable one. Obviously, I think the standard hasn't been quite what it's been used to, and obviously with 2 overseas professionals in each team, generally, that's one thing they can look at. But there's been a lot of good news stories come out of this year as well by playing your youngsters, and it's very clear that the teams with the best junior programs have come through. The VRAs, the HCCs, the VCCs. And again, I obviously heard Tim DeLater speak earlier this morning about making sure clubs invest in their future, and obviously as being a national coach and being a bit one-eyed, you know, that's what I can ask for. I'm a bit over my first 3 years where I've going to club cricket and literally watching a professional bowl to a professional, and all the good Dutch lads batting at 6 and 7 instead of 3 and 4 where they should be, and well, that's frustrating as well. So there is a balancing act that, again, they're those sort of decisions that's way above my pay grade, John, that I'll just stay clear of. But again, as the national coach, I'm allowed to say, well, you know, what's best for me and my team and the future of Dutch cricket, because, you know, my role is to make sure that when I leave here one day, that Dutch cricket's in a better position than when we started with, and that's something that's very close to my heart, and to get that to happen, we've got to make sure we invest in our youngsters and give them as many opportunities.
This profession, I think. That's what you always want to do, on probably even whatever level. But talking about, well, I'm not talking about, but you brought it up a bit. That's good to hear. We have lost a picture again, as you probably would have noticed, and it's back already on. It's a matter of 4G connections. If it says you anything, it doesn't to me, but for you watching, sometimes it drops off, but most of the time it has come back quickly. Luke Hartsink bowling in his second over.
So this is where VRA will be very clever, and they'll bowl their spinners and they'll try to rush through as many overs as they can to just put that scoreboard pressure really onto Sparta. Suddenly you look up and, oh gee, we're up to 10 overs already. How did that happen? It's sort of, that's the thing. When you're on top in the field, that's where that rushing through, making sure you're bowling your overs, can really be an asset.
Good ball from young Hartsink. There goes a big one, and it's the catch. Easy one, a wicket for Luke Hartsink. Again, I will say in his case, every match he takes wickets. And Sparta deep trouble now, 30 for 3.
Well, you just had a feeling that was coming. It was just the dots were were mounting up, and the pressure was building, and you just felt that if the Sparta batsman didn't think their way through the situation, 1 off 10 balls for Bakari, he's going to play a big shot. And unfortunately, when you take that sort of risk, you're going to pay the price. The other thing that is quite noticeable from what I've seen, and again, without blowing up the tyres of Pete Boren too much, our viewers on screen, they can see the wicket, but what they can't see is that the 4 men inside the circle are actually up on the 1. And it's been very noticeable that VRA are making sure that the blokes in the ring are trying to stop the single, whereas in other games that I've watched, they're lurking, they're hanging back on the ring thinking, oh yeah, 1's okay. Well, if you're getting 1 a ball, suddenly you're 120 and then the 130 that they've got. So for me, it's just a no-brainer. Those guys in the circle have to be charging in and trying to stop singles.
And, well, you're pressing batsmen also in the head to go over it. And
Mate, if you want to get off strike, you have to hit it past me, or you have to hit it over me, or here we go. Again, it may be the 5th or 6th ball of an over if you've had a really good over. Yeah, okay, then they can lurk back on the ring and be trying to save a boundary, but it's one of my real pet hates in T20 cricket when teams lurk back on the ring, and it's one of the things that in our Dutch team we're very clear on. If you're in the ring, you're going to be charging, because I want you to either get a single, stop a single, and get us a dot, or get us a run out, and that's the thing. And if they hit it past you, well, so be it. But that's the kind of thing that we really look for. It's one of our, like I say, one of our foundation stones really is if you're in the circle, you're there to stop runs.
Adil Raja, the new bowler. And Ryan Campbell just mentioned it, but it's already over number 9. So indeed, VRA is a bit of racing through the overs. And it's only 31 on the scoreboard now. Surprise ball.
And as you can see there, like Pete Boren is so close at mid-wicket. He's charging and not going to make any single past him. He's hoping, he's looking for a run out.
All of Boren's overs still left, all 4 of them.
It's a funny thing about T20 is when you got one guy that's been so successful in the summer, you actually don't find out too much about the rest of your batting and that's in the air as well.
And there goes number. No, it just dropped short.
It's obviously it's fantastic that a batter gets on top and has a really good summer, and you get through the finals and that. But I guess the question's always sort of lurking: what happens if he doesn't go well? What else have we got? Are we ready to go if he fails? And Sparta, unfortunately, have found that out today. When Van Wyck has failed both times on a wicket that on a surface that's probably a little bit slower than he's used to, and the rest of the players have had to dig deep. And like I say, I think an even contribution from a lot of players generally in T20 is something that you're looking for, and you're always wanting contributions from all the way through your lineup, just in case that one day if your main gun fails, which we saw from VRA with Ben Cooper and Boren both failing today. You found out that an even spread of batting talent has got the job done so far.
Cooper into the attack now. Good throw by Shiraz Razul. 2 was safe.
Another one, Ben Cooper spent a lot of time this year working on his bowling when he's had a bit more time up his sleeve. Being 6'6" has got to be a pretty good attribute to bowl off spin, I would have thought.
And it looks, no, it's going to be safe. Bit of runs now. Finally, I would say, for Sparta, it is over. To come back in, but this is an easy catch and the wicket for Cooper. And if not already, Sparta definitely now in deep trouble.
Yeah, again, it's that looking to be aggressive in the wrong part of town, really. Guys who are just coming to the wicket haven't quite got the conditions right, not giving themselves a chance to play themselves in, really. And every time they've tried to go take a risk, they've taken a risk in the wrong area, and that sees themselves in deep trouble. And one would say that VRA have 1 foot on the title.
Well, it's fair to say it's theirs to lose now. VRA indeed. 1 hand, 1 foot, I would say, on the title.
Would you say the inscriber is starting to get his tools out? And
Definitely. Starting the machine, yeah. Well, it's not a long word, huh? To do. VRA. Who are in there 3 times already. But as we said earlier, last one was in 2012. This is Cooper. Nice and straight. Some adjustments to the field by Peter Boren for Iqbal on the receiving end. Halfway, only 38. Many questions being asked on Twitter whether this shouldn't have been on a non-artificial on a turf wicket.
Yeah, look, I guess that can always be asked, but for me, cricket is played on a turf wicket, and you know we try and give them our best players the most opportunity to play on turf, and you know that's how they're going to become better players. Obviously, a lot of rain during the week didn't help us, and VCC have done a great job in getting the strips up. You know, at times I thought there was no chance, but you know, obviously, yes, we could use a mat if we wanted to, but you know, finals day is all about, for me, playing on the best wickets, and to be honest, VCC, their wicket this year has been fantastic. You know, all the times I've been here, it's been outstanding. Tom de Groot's done a great job here and his ground staff. Well, that's a give me. But yeah, look, I'm going to be very much always saying, look, we need to play on turf as much as we can, and I think finals day should be. Obviously, you know, a place like RCC, for instance, is a great atmosphere ground where, you know, brings a whole different vibe about the place. But again, in a world of COVID where you're not allowed too many people in the ground, that's probably going to be cut off as well.
And there goes the stumping. Easy one. End of a useful but running short innings of Iqbal. Going for 24. And this is for Sparta nearly impossible. So T20 most probably going to be won by VRA, the only team who were able to score twice above 100. Although Sparta has got a little time to get there, but it looks a long way from here. On 39 for 5 in the 11th over. And well, of course the turf has played a part in it, but there was some, not only by Sparta but by the other teams as well. We have seen some, I mean, the mat with the way the wickets fall wouldn't have made a difference. There was some poor betting in general.
Absolutely. There's, like I say, I think the best team who has adapted to the wicket and thought about their play and changed their style of play are the team that's played the best, and you know that's VRA at the moment. And you know, it's not surprising really that they've obviously thought about the game and thought about how they play, and they changed their style. You know, that's the thing. Sometimes plan A doesn't always work. In fact, very rarely does plan A work. So you've got to have something up your sleeve, and they've done that today, and it looks like they're going to be rightful champions.
And it's actually were the VRA covers, the wicket covers from VRA, who made it all possible when VCC found out that theirs were leaking, and the covers from Amsterdam were being picked up and used here overnight to cover the wicket anyhow. Luke Hartzink back in the attack. Sparta will be disappointed that they weren't able to put up a fight at least in this one for this final. Yeah. Ryan next to me showing his Dutch by ordering a biertje, which is all over the world understood, I think. One of the first words you learned?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Although I don't like the Fascia.
Fascia.
That's too
It's too
small.
small,
Oh,
yeah, I could have guessed.
ridiculous.
But I imagine there will be no bartender hearing you who will get out the Fascia anyhow. If he hears any English or Australian accent, they won't pick the small glasses. Hard sink.
It's a nice reverse sweep.
Nice reverse one.
Yeah.
One of the first of the day. One of the first successful of the day at least. So it's 12 gun, 46 for 5. Running a long way behind. There's the big one. Fair to say it was about time. A 6 from Singh, making space for himself again. And finds a gap through the slips, which wasn't his intention, but it brings 2. Bit of juggling in the pickup, but VRA can afford it. Might be 2, it is. And a good throw, but he was in there.
I think what will be pleasing for Pete Byron as the captain and I guess director of cricket there at VRA is that today's finals, you look at around the field, there's 4 under-18s players, you know, in his makeup, and you know that's exciting. Not only for VRA but for Dutch cricket as well, and you know hopefully with some good coaching and monitoring and opportunity, those players will continue to develop, and that'll guarantee the strength of VRA for years and years to come.
And hopefully set an example for others that it can bring you success as well.
Yeah, well,
using your youngsters.
And that's the thing. A lot of time, if you're short-sighted, it's very easy to go, oh well, you know, we don't really want to. We'll play a youngster here or there, but you you know, you got to win, you got to this, that, and the other. Well, if you have talented youngsters and you surround them with good, experienced players and show them the right way to go, you know, there's no reason why they can't be in a successful team and why you can't, you know, breed success from an early stage. So, yes, it might take a little bit of time and you're going to get some ups and downs. And
you need to be prepared to suffer a bit now and then. But
of course, and you know,
take that.
I think, am I right in saying that VRA got bowled out against Sparta early in the year for 30 odd or something?
Yeah, definitely.
And again, that's a day where the youngsters just got it wrong and their experienced players got knocked over and away it went. But again, if you've got a long-term goal, those sort of things, you just take it on the chin.
No ball from Cooper.
That's not his best effort. Is that one warning to a spinner?
Yeah. And the free hit to go after. Taken by Pete Boren in the position you described earlier. Saving a single on the free hit.
Oh, that's a good hit.
It's a good hit. A very nice one. A good 6. Straight. Not exactly a game changer yet, but probably a confidence building 6.
Sense a little change of momentum here, John. Just a little, couple of boundaries, a couple of sixes the last couple of overs.
They could help. Going after it again. Will be the last over of Ben Cooper, this. 4 is being saved. Or not. It's a 4. With a little bit of help, 4 was signaled. 74. But Boren still has his 4 overs, isn't he? I think so. This one is for Vikram Singh.
Yeah, I think he's been pretty happy to go with pace off so far, but wouldn't surprise to see him as we talk. He's just about to drop his cap behind the umpire as we speak. So, obviously, just a couple of boundaries and a little bit of momentum change coming here from Sparta that Pete's decided that enough's enough and he's going to bring himself on to try and put an end to this uprising, so to speak.
There we go again, one of your favourite moments. Switching cap for a helmet. And probably we need to do it again because I noticed the other batsman is still wearing a cap. Peter Boren, former captain of the Netherlands, still captain of VRA, given away the band a couple of times in the last years, but it always seems to come back to him like a magnet. And it's right decisions every time, because he has brought them a lot. Oh.
Well, I can guarantee you here that Pete is going to bowl pace off, pace off, pace off a lot. He might bowl one ball pace on at the whole over, but he'll be trying to just use the conditions, try and second guess the batters. Again, pace off there. That's 2 in a row.
As a coach, but also as a player for Hong Kong, you've played many times against him, I think. Is he really the hard one he looks like to compete against?
Yeah, he's definitely a competitor, that's for sure. He gives his heart and soul to the game. That could be out and that could be the end.
Yes. Safe hands from Abitashir. But he was a tough one.
Oh, mate.
Still is.
Still is. Just, gave his heart and soul to his country and to his team. And look, I'll be the first to say he's not a world beater of a player, that's for sure. But what I love about Pete is that he got every little inch of everything out of himself, and that's what you can't buy off a shelf. And it's something that, the most talented of players, if they don't have that bit of blood and guts and that desire, you're going to fall away because, you probably expect the things to happen too easy, and when things get tough, they can't find themselves. So, guys like Peter Boren, and I think history has shown, one of my great teammates from my WA days in Australian cricket in Justin Langer, and this is no disrespect to Justin Langer, but Justin was no world beater, but he was the toughest, most hardest fighter and mentally toughest player you'd ever meet. And, he just willed himself into the contest and became one of Australia's best opening batsmen. And, those sort of players, it's they just want to succeed, and success generally follows them.
Here comes Boren again with a slower one. Yeah, you mentioned Justin Langer, who I, of course, knew as a batsman and as a cricketer for Australia, but I've watched the documentary and I was so much impressed by his coaching and the personality he put in it, and it really opened an eye. I mean, of course, he was a great cricketer, but I actually, your country, I told Alison Anand, the Dutch women's hockey coach, the Australian, to watch it. And just for coaching reasons, for the way he acts in between the team, the decisions he makes, it really made a big impression on me.
Yeah, I enjoyed the series. Obviously, like all Australian cricketers, we were taken aback when what happened in South Africa and sandpaper and stuff, and it was so un-Australian, on a cricket field. And he was charged to take over and rebuild the faith in cricket in Australia, because, at that point, the national team was, looked frowned upon, really, which is unbelievably to even think about it. But, he's a great character, and he's got the best out of his team. What I found the funniest thing was how he had to have so many assistant coaches and support staff that he had to have the meetings with them went longer than the players' meetings. So, I look at our support staff network of me and James and a S&C coach. I've seen a photo once, and I know England, they have their own second bus full of support staff. It's like, geez, how much money have you guys got? I'd love to steal a little bit of that for our staff.
Last over for Luc Hartzink. $80 and 2 at it now. But it needs real magic for Sparta. This one will be put away. Oh, it's only a single. The attempt for the second one failed. But well, coming back to Justin Langer, it asked a bit of bravery as well to allow, and the position they were in when he started, to allow 24/7 hour, 24/7 a camera inside you.
Yeah, well, brave or stupid, one of the two. We didn't have a choice, but look, I found it fascinating, you know, as a past player and as a coach, just to see, you know, how they went about it, and you know, some of the things that they spoke about, and it was pretty hardcore. And you know, I'm sure the players at times were a bit taken back of, you know, the confronting really of being so honest. And I think it peeled back a few of the layers, I think, of professional sport and what it's like. And look, yeah, I really enjoyed the whole concept. And I know we've seen there's a few others, you know, I think Man City have done one, and a lot of the other football teams.
The Man City one, but that looked to me more edited than the Australian one was more raw, more honest, gave a more honest view. I mean, it was there on the bad moments as well.
Yeah. Well, I know for a fact that with that series there was, I think, Cummings was one of the players that was actually allowed in on the editing sort of process, and they would ask, you know, this is what we want to do, this is what we are going to do, and they would say, oh, well, that's might be a bit over the top, or yeah, you know what, yeah, okay. So they did have a little bit of a say, but again, once you open your doors, and you know, you want to do that series, then you have to be honest, and you have to let the cameras roll, so to speak.
Big shot, and it's going to be 6. Missed by that spectator. But well, I found out last night when I was watching the Australia game that it was the first match I watched from Australia since I've seen the documentary. That I really, when I looked in the face of Warner or Finch or whoever, I thought, hey, I know these guys already. Yeah. And it was different seeing them in different circumstances than only a match.
Yeah, absolutely. It
builds as well.
I tell you, now that we're on that subject, what I did love was last Sunday when, for the first time in 21 years, there was cricket live on air on a free TV channel. BBC One finally had it. Something that is, you know, kids not watching cricket on the local network is really hard, and it's something that we would love, obviously, to have it on TV as much as we can. So kids who are flicking through a football channel to the Cartoon Network suddenly sees a sport and goes, oh, what's that? I'd like to have a look at that.
.92 for 6 in this final of the T20. Hard sink chasing, and it's 2.94, 17th over. Latif and Salim, the batsman. 0 partnership. Good one. Two more. 35 from 20. Still possible.
Oh, mate, I've got off the I hope the engraver hasn't put the name on the trophy yet, because yeah, well, I think Sparta are suddenly getting themselves back in this game. It's, Latif has batted brilliantly. Just to remember, he hits, there's 3 overs after this, and suddenly if you connect with a couple.
Well, the one you said, there's always going to be 1 or 2. And if you keep looking for the 1s and 2s in between, the 1 or 2 big hits. Trying all the variety he has in speed. End of his second. 1 for 12. Three overs left. 33 runs needed. It's still close to 2 a ball, but
yeah, but it's it's one of those things that, again, if we hadn't seen the conditions all day, you would say, okay, in a T20 match, if you've got 4 wickets in hand, you're going to back yourself to get 10 and over off the last 3 or 4. So, look, I think it's an exciting period of the game, and I think for the first time since this game started, well, since this inning started, really, that Sparta have just suddenly puts their noses back into this contest.
and there goes one, which is not going to be caught by Shiraz Rasool. It just looked a bit like dropping short in front of him. And a 100, only for the 3rd time today. It's on the board. First time another team than VRA does it.
Well, it's an interesting field setting now, and again, our viewers won't be able to see this, but there's 4 men now on the leg side boundary, which means mid-off is up to a right arm off spinner, which I think is what they're starting to talk about now.
Bit of discussion going in between the VRA team. That's probably what your batsman wants to see. You can get the impression, or at least have them doubting. And there comes one, which wasn't one.
Again, it brings pressure to the fielding side. Like I say, for the first time, VRA, who have actually been very good in the field and they've been hustling and bustling, suddenly just a few little unforced errors, so to speak, have started to creep in.
Save. 1 run. .02. 30 for the win. To be honest to you, you asked me, I think 5, 6, 7 overs ago, momentum changer. I said, no, well, it's a confidence builder, but it seems to be the momentum changer.
Oh, and that's like in low-scoring games. It just takes 1 or 2 overs just to change the momentum of the team and change the way the game's going. And again, positive risk in a way that your best suited, your game is suited, can often come off.
possible for Vikram Singh or Ben Cooper. Got another run at it. Going above 2 a ball now. Well,
So this is where you got to get your thinking caps on. You let's assume that Peter Boren's bowling the next over. So who bowls the last? Is it Q Gunning? Is it who else have we got up our sleeve here? There's Raja, Cooper.
Abid still has.
I'm assuming it's going to be Gunning. So if Boren bowls this over, you know, he's obviously thinking, okay, I've got to give Q as many as I can up his sleeve. So what, we got 26, 27 to win here. If Sparta, for instance, can get 12 off this over, 15 one over, you never know. You give yourself a chance. The one thing is you can't get them all off this over. That's, you know, so yes, if you could have a remarkable over, but you also got to just say, oh, okay, let's just work out. If we can get 12 or 13, that gives us 14 off the last. Bowler has a bit of pressure on him. Suddenly a wide or a no ball, and you never know.
Change of bats now as well. Bringing in the heavy ones probably. 2 overs to go. It's actually 2 overs for the full Topklasse season 2020, the COVID cricket season all over the world and also in the Netherlands. Slower one by Boren. Full miss. A dot. An important dot. Oh, that's a long way. It's all the way for 6. Latif. There we have it.
Wow, there you go. Went for the slower ball 2 in a row. Right into his swinging arc, because there's only one place he's aiming, and that's a long way.
21 from 10. Boren. And this one goes straight up in the air. Boren goes after it himself, and it's safe hands. End of the innings after the 6. Clever bowling.
It's the fastest I've seen Pete move for a while.
Still has it in him.
Yeah, he wasn't letting anyone else near that, that's for sure. Taking responsibility.
Caught and bowled somewhere around cover.
End of a pretty good innings, let's be honest.
Yeah,
that was
definitely.
Latif, 34. He gave his team a chance, that's for sure.
Quite a serious hand injury, Boren, but it didn't seem to bother him on this catch this season, the hand injury. After taking a screamer in one of the T20 matches.
I was literally about to say to you that this has to be a bouncer. with the field he set with mid on and mid off up and deep point, third man and fine leg went back. I was thinking, well, he can only bowl one ball here, and he did deliver it.
And why would he do it? Why would he have done it?
Well, try and change it up.
Just, yeah. There goes a huge one. 6. brings lots of joy to the Sparta players on the side of the field. Salim, after the bouncer, punishes his Boran.
So there's 14 now, and you got
From
2 to go.
8, under 2 a ball. They've been far above a couple of balls ago. And here goes another try. It's dropping short of Vikram Singh. Staying, and only 1 from there. And Singh had the impression he should have tried to stump it.
So to me, this is a free hit because Sardar can really swing as much as he can because they want Salim on strike for the first ball of the next over. So basically, all you want is 2, 4 or 6 here.
He's got to go after it.
I would give him the green light.
Which Boran knows as well. And it's going to be a single. No, it's not. He's being sent back.
So, who gets it? Who gets the last over?
Ah,
Is it the old boy, Adil Raja? Is it Q Gunning?
could be. I would say I'll go with you with Gunning. Q Gunning. And it looks like Raja. Yeah, measuring his run up.
The veteran.
Nice one.
6 balls he's got, 13 runs. Exciting climax.
Again. I mean, what was it? Half an hour ago, we were calling up the engravers to start the work, and it looks all done and dusted. And it was the same in the semi-final. A lot of thinking, a lot of talking to be done. 1 over to go in our Dutch cricket season. In the final of the T20, Sparta Rotterdam trying to find 13 runs in the final 6 balls against VRA from Amsterdam. We have a new T20 champion anyhow. That's for sure. Adil Raja. The first ball of that over. Big shot, but it's not going to make it. It's going to be an easy catch. The second one for Boran. It's a wicket, but most important, it were not runs.
Well, it's a set batter too, that's the big thing. And, you know, Adil Raja actually was quite surprisingly gave that a bit of air, really. He didn't go pace on with his first delivery. And Boran, look, he had 4 out on the leg side. He knew that was only going in one direction. That's a big wicket.
Nothing changed in Sparta's need. It's still the 13. The only thing changed is the 1 ball less now. 13 from 5. Raja. And again finds an easy run out there on the non-striker's end. And all of a sudden,
Yeah, that's the one place he didn't want Maxi Hornvik. It's the only place he didn't want him to hit that ball. So he was taking off, trying to get
and right he was.
get running. Just like to see 1-6, just to make it a bit exciting. Let's be honest. Just for the cameras.
For about the 5th time in
Yeah.
this innings.
One clean hit.
It's going to be 4, at least. 4.
Well, I tell you what that does though.
9 from 3.
Like, there's 3 men inside the ring on the offside, and it kind of changes the thinking. Does Pete Boran go, oh, do I have to change the field here? Because now Raja is just saying, okay, do you want to change it? But Pete's pretty adamant. He wants him to bowl at middle and leg stump and make him hit to that longer boundary where his 4 fielders are.
6 now.
Ooh.
9 from 3. Adil Raja the bowler for VRA. Same position, and it clears the other fielder, and it slowly passes the rope there. That's another 4. Sparta players are all over.
I tell you one thing that is surprising me, that he is bowling so slow. He needs to go pace on a little bit, the off spinner. An experienced player probably should know that, and it doesn't surprise me that Pete Byron has decided that, mate, come up, let's have a chat here. Let's bowl it with a little bit quicker, I would have thought.
Boren comes to Raja now to discuss the last 2 with 5 runs needed.
5 runs and 2 ball over Sparta.
The only advantage for the engraver is there is at least 1 A necessary. It might be 2 now.
So that's changed the field. So he's had to put 1 out on the offside, which therefore now opens up the leg side a little bit.
Within 1 hit from victory. Who would have thought that? With 2 balls to go. Adil Raja, penultimate ball of this final. Being put away, no catch. Just the 1, or coming back for the second. Oh, and that's it. A mix-up in the running in the end brings VRA the title. VRA wins the T20 League in Holland on a thrilling final, we have to say. We had a thrilling semi-final and a comfortable win for VRA in the first semi-final. Well, we couldn't have asked for more, I think, Ryan.
Well, it was exciting. Like I say, low-scoring games can often be very, very exciting, and that's what we've seen here today. Sparta didn't give up at any stage, and their lower order gave themselves a sniff of victory. And in the end, a run out has probably cost them, 4 runs short. And what was a tough run chase. They lost their big man up front early, and they never really recovered. But look, an exciting day to what has been a tough year, so to speak, in the old COVID. But good to see that finals day really lived up to its showing.
With VRA winning it. Thank you very much for all your time around. Wish you all the best for coming month and years, probably, hopefully years at least in Holland. Thanks very much again,
Thanks,
Ryan. Take care.
Here.
Come back home safe. Warm up a bit.
Will do.
This was the end of our coverage of the T20 finals day in Holland. We really, really hope you enjoyed it. It had 2 spectacular low-scoring games, but at least it showed that also low-scoring games in T20 cricket can be very attractive. Deserved winners for the day, VRA Amsterdam, the new T20 champions, making way now to the side of the field. Thank you very much from Voorburg, from VCC Cricket Club, close to The Hague in the Netherlands. Many thanks, and we hope you will be back soon for Dutch cricket.